to attempt great things for God? Now let me just ask you this question this morning. Are you willing to attempt something great for God? Are you willing to attempt something that if God doesn't show up, it's just not going to happen? Now, do you get that? You can do all kinds of things for yourself. You can have all kinds of goals, all kinds of visions for who you want to be and all that. But if you want to do something for God, God is going to have to show up and work in power in your life. Right. If you attempt great things for God. Take a look at this verse on your outline. 2 Samuel says, Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, was a valiant fighter from Kabzeel who performed these great exploits. He performed these great things. And notice this, he went down into a pit, and despite the slippery snow on the ground, took on a lion that was caught there, and he killed that lion. Now, just picture this in your head. Going after this lion, he had to recognize that he was kind of outnumbered, right? This lion probably weighed at the full size about 500 pounds. They are the king of the forest, right? You guys know that song, The King of the Forest, right? You know that song, Wizard of Oz, right? A lion, thank you for getting that. A lion at his full size is a ferocious beast. I love that picture that we had up there. A ferocious animal with teeth, a meat eater. And Benaiah went up against this lion, and he had to know that he was not going to accomplish his goal of killing that lion unless God was with him. Right. And I just want to share with you this morning, unless God is with you in your dreams, it's going to be quite impossible to accomplish everything that God has put on your heart. You have to keep him at the center of your life. You have to say, God, what is it you want from me? And help me to trust in you in this area. Now, I just want you to notice this on your outline. If you're going to be a lion chaser, you've got to do this. Look at your first arrow on your outline. You've got to start by understanding who God is. If you're going to accomplish something amazing for God, you've got to start by knowing deep down in your soul who he is. Now, I just kind of want to just go through some things that I was thinking about. Number one, God exists forever, right? He has no beginning. He has no end. He always was. He always will be. He is God. He is like nothing else in the world. Not only that, he created everything. Right? So he not only lasts forever, he had the power to speak, and the universes leapt into existence. He had the power to create the land and the sky and the stars and the waters. The scripture says that he had the power to create a human being. Not only that, to breathe life into that human being. The scripture says in Psalm 139 that he knows us better than we know ourselves. The scripture says he's got one hand here in our life and he's got the other one here in our life, and he knows us so well. He knows when we get up. He knows when we lay down. He knows when we go for a walk. He knows when we have a seat and rest. The scripture says he knows us so well that he knows the words that come on our tongue before we even say them. That's how huge God is. I love this passage from Psalm 139. It says this in verse 8. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? You want to know the answer? Absolutely nowhere. You cannot escape God. You know, you can try, and I've tried to say, God, you know what? I'm not going to follow that dream. I'm going to go do my own thing, God. But you cannot outrun the hand of God. He is always ahead of you. You can't outrun His presence. You can't outrun His love. And I just, as I'm thinking about this, as we're attempting great things, God, picture this, God is strategically putting us in the right places at the right time in order for you to experience His presence and His power in your life. Now think about this. Even the places that sometimes you take yourself, God is still able to work in those lives if you just look and say, God, I know I can't outrun you, God, but I'm going to follow you no matter what you want me to do. I want you to notice this next point on your outline, the next arrow on your outline. Following God and being a lion chaser means that you accept that there are some times in your life when you're going to look foolish. You accept that you're going to look foolish sometimes. Can you imagine Benaiah going after this lion? Stupid, right? Right? But what was his choice? Run and be food, or fight and possibly be food? Right? You're going to be food if you fail at fighting. You're going to be food if you run away. He took that option and he said, I'm going to go for it. It looks dumb sometimes. Sometimes when you have a goal in your life or you want to do something amazing in your life, there are going to be people who would come along and say, you just can't do that. Right. Nobody's ever done anything like that in our family. Nobody's ever went to college, or nobody's ever wrote a book, or nobody's ever done something huge like you're talking about or dreaming about. But if God has given you a dream, just know that there's sometimes it's going to look dumb to people, but who cares? God will help you accomplish what He's called you to do. I love this verse in Galatians. It tells us this: each one should test his own actions. You know how you're following God? The scripture says you should test yourself. Test your own actions. Look at what it says. Then he can take pride in himself without comparing himself to somebody else. I love that verse because it says it's dumb to compare yourself to somebody else. It is. Why is that? Because you're always going to find somebody who's doing a better job than you. Right? And it's going to make you feel bad. Wow, they're doing a better job in their marriage or with their relationships or in their career. They're making more money than I am. They're more successful. They got everything going on. And it makes you feel bad. And then you're going to find somebody who's not doing as good as you. And you're going to say, well, at least I'm not that bad off, right? That's kind of like the people who watch Jerry Springer and those types of shows. The only reason you watch those shows is because you're doing better than that person. Right? And so, look, we can look at these other people who are doing great and say, I just don't feel that great about my life. Or we can look at these people and over here and we can say, at least I'm doing better than them. And yet that builds pride in our life. Either way, we're dead in the water. We should never compare ourselves to other people. Look at what it says. You should test your own actions. Then you can take pride in yourself. You don't have to compare yourself to other people. You know what? There's times when you're going to be asked by God to do something that looks foolish, and yet you're going to do it because God has called you to accomplish something great. Notice the next point on your outline. Chasing our lions involves embracing the fear of the unknown. Chasing lions involves embracing the fear of the unknown. Your dreams in life should not be based on your fears. Okay? You should not live out of your fears. Your dreams in life should be based on how big you think God is. Does that make sense? Your goals, your dreams, your ambitions for your life should all be based on what you believe God can do, not based on what you believe you can do. I'm convinced that one of Satan's greatest tools against Christians is the fear of failure. I'm convinced of that because he's done that so many times in my life. The fear of blowing it. The fear if I just step out in faith and just try something new, that I'm going to blow it. It's not going to happen. And I'm going to look dumb. And it's just going to be bad all the way around. And because of that, and because of that feeling that you have, it will keep you from even taking step one. Chasing lions involves doing great things for God. But it also involves embracing the fear of the unknown. Proverbs 29:25. Let's read this verse out loud together. Take a look at it up here on the screen. Let's read it out loud. It says this. The fear of man brings a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord shall be safe. Have you ever been afraid to do something because of what somebody else might say? Or because of what somebody else might think? Or what your teachers might think of you? Or what your parents might say about it? Or what your family members that are crazy anyway are going to think about you? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? God is wanting to use the person who has a dream. And He's willing and wanting to work mightily on behalf of the person who's willing to risk failure. Now take a look on your outline. This first arrow says this.